Hey y'all, welcome back to Key is King. Today we are going to be getting into another Real Housewives of New York review. This time we are doing episode 4, and let's get right to it. We open with the ladies going to a tennis lesson match. Apparently, this is the club where Erin used to get her tennis lessons at, so she's excited to go there. And she is very oddly and overtly, as I put in my notes, being flirty with the tennis instructor and acting like she's like showing off for him in the confessionals. And it's like, you are an uptight married woman, so I don't know what you're doing, but I don't know if this is your revenge for your husband spending your Bitcoin. But it's like so out of sorts and out of character for Erin. It's very, very strange. But they're playing tennis. It's really nothing to write home about. Nobody's great. Erin makes sure we all know that they're not athletic people. So they're just going about their day playing tennis and having weird tensions as some of the women watch them on the side. We do, as the women are sitting on the side, get a little bit of a backstory on Raquel. She tells her story about her last name because it's French, I believe. She said she's Puerto Rican. They're like, so how'd you get, like, what's the story on your name? And to make a long story short, her dad never really claimed her or owned her. He tried to deny her when she finally was old enough, about 11, I think she said, to reach out and try to call him and have a relationship. He denied her, was forced essentially to like invite her to Thanksgiving. He allowed her to meet her siblings, and then gave her a picture and said, "Good luck with your life," essentially, which was really, really sad. And Bryn, who we know is doesn't have a family like unit of her own for many different reasons, relates to her, and they were kind of crying together and having a moment. But we see in the trailer that they get into it later. So I immediately, although it was sweet and touching, I immediately was like, okay, which one of you fucked it up? Because that's how reality TV brain works. Also worth mentioning in this little scene is that Bryn is very much over the silent treatment she's getting from Uba and Sai and the acting like nothing kind of happened at breakfast. And she's like, she really can't handle it. And she's talking about how her fight or flight, she essentially has fight or flight without the fight. She's ready just to flee the scene, is the vibe I'm getting. So that was really tennis in a nutshell. Oh, and I almost forgot because she is quite literally boring. But once again, we open this whole episode with Rebecca sharing another weird story. And maybe this is not weird. Maybe I'm just gay and this is my weird. But I won't yuck their yum, although I'm low key yucking this yum. She tells a story about how they were talking about breastfeeding for some reason, and apparently her and her husband were out, and she had that feeling coming on, so they went to the bathroom for him to suck the milk out of her and spit it out, and she decided to share that because she loves sharing fun stories about herself. So they transition home, and nothing really happens. Erin calls her dad. Don't give a fuck. Jenna, they're all cooking dinner. They're all having Shabbat. Google that because I'm not even sure what the fuck that really means for real. I've heard it before though. And Jenna is cooking for the first time probably in her life, and she's claiming that Uba can't use the oven because she needs the oven for her meringue. And Bryn, as I just predicted, is telling Erin that she wants to go home and that she's not feeling it. And Erin is like, "No, take a nap. You're not leaving. Don't leave me here alone." So once again, crystal ball. I might be psychic. So some of the ladies are going to the grocery store to collect things for dinner. Bryn is refusing to go because her main ops are going to the grocery store, which causes Jenna to go check on her and see how she's doing. She's telling Jenna she's going home. She's like getting ready, has a blazer on, so I guess she means business. Jenna's like, no, don't go. Please don't go. Come cook with me. I'm cooking. They make it to the kitchen, and as suspected, Jenna does not know what the fuck she's doing. She can't cook. She's looking like she's never even seen a kitchen. And Brenna's like, have some wine, maybe sit down and rest. And she's like, no. But she does decide that she's going to let Bryn wear all of her diamonds for the day and the evening to get her to stay because the healing power of diamonds just is like seeping apparently through the pores, which works for Bryn because she is apparently broke and shallow, which that's really become the housewives like thing. You're either really rich and ignorant or you're like broke and shallow. So Bryn is like sold by the diamonds. They're doing that. Raquel is making some eggplant, whatever. And Erin's trying to help her, but quickly is like, I'm going to go sit by the fire. So we go to the grocery store with Jessel, Uba, and Sai. And this scene was pretty cute. They're at the grocery store. One thing I will say is that they immediately walk in, and Uba seems to immediately ask where something is instead of taking her tall ass to look. That's just the rich, I guess, in her blood. Because, bitch, if you don't take, like I said, your tall ass, you're looking at the top of the shelves anyway, just look for the coconut milk or whatever you're looking for. But anyway, they're at the store and they start playing a game of like, guess what the price of stuff is because Jessel apparently never goes to the grocery store. And Sai's like, okay, out of touch bitch, like always been kind of rich bitch. So they start guessing prices. They're awful at it. To be truthful, so I didn't even really know. She's like, damn, this stuff really kind of is expensive. So that was funny. But they transitioned from talking about chicken eggs to Jessel's eggs. And she's like, my eggs are $1,000 a month or something to keep. And Sai at first is like, what kind of eggs you got? But she's talking about her embryos, and that leads into a conversation of Jessel really wanting a third baby. She really does. She cannot get pregnant naturally, and it's a big deal. And they had twins at once, as opposed to having twins separately via their IVF. I really forget. I think it's IVF. And so they she really does want another baby, and her husband is really not feeling it right now, which makes me sad for her. But they keep all saying like she wants a girl and she deserves to have a little girl, and I get why she would want that. But she's trying to decide like, okay, do I get a surrogate, which is about 250K apparently? And Sai was like, for that, I'll be your surrogate. She's like, shit, I'll keep your eggs for how much you're charging. And Uba goes, can you keep those in your fridge at home? Because she's like, bitch, why are you paying it to keep them over in Beverly Hills? So that was very funny. But it was a cute little scene. So we move on to a quick little scene of them cooking dinner, and it was pretty cute. It had its ebbs and flows, we'll say. They come back. First of all, they bring pizza back as an appetizer while they're cooking dinner, which Erin is like, why do you have pizza? And she's like, so I was like, she's making rice and beans. When do you think she'll be done? That was funny because, baby, we need to eat sometimes. We just need to eat. And Sai notoriously has a thing with food, we know from the first season. And so they're cooking. Watching Jessel cook is hilarious. The same woman that does not go to the grocery store, she looks like she does not go to the kitchen either. It is just hilarious. It's hilarious. That is, I just have the picture. She was holding a pan and just going, ow, ow, ow. And Sai just comes over and is like, Jessel, put it down. Like, been there though, been there, done that. They have that happening. They have shout out. First of all, I don't know why I didn't start with this. Shout out to all the grill lesbians out there. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean. The girls that get it, get it. Shout out to all the grill lesbians. Raquel is like, I'm not really going to be in the kitchen. She's like, I will be on the grill. And not only is she on the grill, and not only is she a lesbian on the grill, she's wearing a fur coat. It may be faux, so don't PETA me to death or PETA her to death. I don't know. But she's doing the grill with a fur coat on. Need I say more? Rainbow. So that's funny. And they end this little quick scene because everybody's like, okay, I'm going to go get ready for dinner, blah, 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 blah. With Bryn and Erin. No, it's actually Erin. Jennifer Aniston strikes again. So she comes into the room with like these fake cockroaches and bugs that look very realistic. And she's going to say, put them like in the food. I don't know if she means in the food or under the containers the food are in. But either way, they know they're about to piss people off. They know that there is like already shit happening and they're going to be putting fake bugs around people's or in people's food. But this is the shit I'm talking about with somebody like Erin who tries to be or play so above board. But look at how she hits and how she plays. It's so annoying. And Bryn is just looking for a reason to do something and say something at this point. So they move on to everyone transitioning to dinner, and everyone looks fucking good, I must say. They're coming to dinner very dressed to impress. Well, most of them. Once again, random weird Rebecca facts. I feel like everything they share about this woman just has a tinge of weird to it. Which maybe this is not weird and this is normal. I just don't have a vagina to talk about. But she's talking about she's wearing panties. I guess a lot of people aren't wearing panties or bras, which is not the abnormal part. But she was just like, yeah, if I don't wear panties, like it just gets wet. And so didn't really know what she means by that. But Bryn also is the one she said it to, of course, and was just like, But but like everything about her is like a bodily function that we don't really need to know about, quite frankly. But Jenna brings her diamonds down to dinner for Bryn to wear, and they're all having a great time. Jessel asks about the latex that Jenna's wearing and says, is it like recycled? Is it from like a garbage truck or something? In which I think that was a genuine question, but it's shady as fuck, and coming from Jessel, people are like, this girl. But Jenna's like, no, it's custom made actually. And that was very, very funny. Jessel is just so funny. But it does lead Jenna to talk about her experience with sex dungeons and what we'll call the lifestyle. And the girls are shocked to hear about there's like sex parties happening. Mind you, this was before the internet. This was before things were really just in your face with stuff. But even still, people don't understand or realize that that type of stuff happens all the time. So it's very funny to hear her explain this because, like, once again, the girls that know. So dinner kicks off. Erin starts it off with a prayer. And then she begins to judge Rebecca because Rebecca's helping her with the Jewish prayer. And Erin's like, how are you a Scientologist and Jewish? Like, not judging, but she was judging her completely. Very interesting, and I wonder how that's going to come back, if it will at all. But they move on. They start playing Never Have I Ever at dinner. Erin reveals that she fucked her business partner before they were business partners, though. I guess it was like a high school boyfriend or something, she said. She then reveals that she used to be a flasher and would just show her titties everywhere. And apparently used to flash the cabs for like a cab ride. So, very interesting that Miss Prim and Proper, Miss Aniston is out here living wild on private jets, flashing her titties everywhere. So it's just interesting. It's just, I need to get a new word. I'm claiming that right now. Death to interesting. Because I mean so much more when I say interesting. But, all intents and purposes, it's interesting. Yeah, okay. Uba and Bryn are playing very nice in the sandbox. They're talking about Uba saying her hotbox is always ready for the pregnancy zone because that's what she's aiming towards. She's going towards that. But they go on to talk about this dessert that Jenna's been going on and on about, saying people have to get dressed up for. So Erin reveals that she purposely is doing this prank of putting fake bugs, which we find out in the food. She's putting them in the food, is on purpose because she's heard about it 18 million times and now she has to do something regarding it. Which is low-key fucking sick because you know it means so much to her and you're gonna like put bugs in it. But they go through all of that. They do it, they start serving it, because at first they're all just like eating out of the dish. And they're like, okay, now we have to like start serving it. And so they're serving it, and of course, who gets the bug but Jessel? And Jessel like screams, she picks it up. Uba lets the food fall out of her mouth and proceeds to run to the bathroom and starts vomiting everywhere. So Uba's now vomiting. Sai goes to check on her, and Sai starts throwing up. And it looked like a scene from Bridesmaids. Honestly, Jenna loved it. She thought it was funny. But that was actually a really, really funny scene. Bryn and Erin were very pleased with themselves, and they should be, but it was really funny. I enjoyed it a lot. It made me laugh, and it made everybody else laugh, and it bonded them for a moment, so I guess it worked. So we move on to the next morning, and the first real scene that we have is Jessel calling Pavit and her kids. And I did not love this at all. I'm actually kind of worried for them as a couple because Jessel calls them and the first thing Pavit says is, oh, look who's finally awake. And Jessel's like, well, I've been awake. Like, how you doing? Where are the kids type shit. And he just goes on and on about how she's always sleeping and how she was like, you'll get a day off tomorrow. And he's like, I really doubt it. Just kind of really putting her down, and that's how they're like starting their morning call off. He then transitions to the kids and is like, who's always sleeping? And the kid's like, Mom! And so she's like, don't train him to say that. And they quickly hang up after that, and she's like, he's such an asshole. So like all of that does not feel good. She wants another baby on top of all of this, so it just is not giving a good vibe. And I really did not like that for them. They move on to everyone kind of gathering for breakfast. Erin has hired a chef. Jenna is talking about her promise ring, which is now an engagement ring, and she's engaged and afraid. That's a new show for her, and she's like, I don't think we'll ever really do it, but it's just a sign of a commitment, which is like, okay, whatever floats your boat. Rebecca's talking about her child breastfeeding until they're 3, and that's how she wants to do things. So her real storyline is just about breastfeeding a lot this episode, but she said she wants her kid to be able to say, "Mommy, I want the boob," out loud. So that's her goal, and I cannot judge that, even though they seem to be judging her for it. So that's that. And speaking of Rebecca, Bryn is trying to coach her on how to be a housewife. She's like, you have to be shady. You have to, like, say stuff back. And Rebecca's like, that's just not who I am. And she's like, that's not my personality. And Bryn's like, you are not going to last long, honey, at all. She was literally trying to feed her lines of, like, what to say because Bryn was being a little shady with her. Rebecca was not taking it. And that's very telling, and I think that says that's all it needs to say, really. And then we finished the episode out with Uba versus Bryn. Oh my god. So Uba comes down to breakfast, all lovey-dovey and huggy, and everybody's like, oh god, like, oh wow, this is great. And apparently Aaron had pulled them to the side last night and was like, look, you guys love each other, talk it out. And they're like, we do love each other, and let's try to talk. So Bryn apparently is expressing to Uba that she feels that she's becoming an angry black woman, and that's how she's coming off. And her man from Connecticut, who is white, is just going to see her as an angry black woman and will never marry her. And so Aaron's like, bitch, what? What? And Bryn is a quarter to half to a quarter, however you want to ascend or descend that ratio. Black, she's part black, and she feels that she can say this to Uba. And Aaron's like, what are you doing? And she's like, white girl, stay to the side. I got this. And so they're having this conversation, and that seems to be the conversation in a nutshell and didn't go much of anywhere. But Uba decides to take the moment at breakfast to be like, you're condescending, and I don't like that. And Bryn's like, well, you call me names, and you disrespect me, and all this stuff. And Uba said, as long as you're condescending, I'm going to be calling you names, and I'm going to be defending myself. She was like, I'm passionate. English is not my first language. You know this. And she's like, please don't do that. Please don't do that. And Bryn is like not really having it, and Uba crashes out a little bit. Like the women are trying to get her to stop so Bryn can talk, because she's just crashing left and right. Left and right. And so Bryn is just like, whatever, like, so Uba crashes out. They're trying to get her to stop. She doesn't really stop. She's like, I'm going to keep doing it as long as you do it. It's pretty much like, fuck you all over again. So she gets up and moves. And Bryn is like, fuck all of you for just like letting this happen. And she was just like, what is this? She's like, I don't want to be in this group. Fuck this group. And everybody's like, we tried to get her to stop. Jessel tried to get up to give her a hug. And she was like, no, I don't want a hug. And she's really expressing that. Like, you guys, I feel like, don't do anything. You let this happen. She goes on to say that she's convinced Uba just doesn't have a brain, and that she fights like this because she doesn't have the capacity to do anything different. So let's see how those words come back around for her. But Bryn is emotional. She's crying. She's like, I want to leave. I wanted to leave days ago. And people were like making me stay here, essentially, is the vibe. And it's just a whole fucking mess. But Sai had gotten up from the table, is in the kitchen behind them. Uba comes around after her crash out, and is just sitting there, and Aaron's like, stop, they're behind you, and she's whispering. And Bryn doesn't give a fuck though. She's like, get off my dick. Literally, get off my dick. And I'm just like, okay, Aaron, you claim to be Uba's best friend, but you're telling Bryn to stop talking because she's behind her now. Like, the double-sidedness of it all. But that's how we end the episode. So, New York they're bringing it. I'm surprised they're higher up on my list than I thought they would be. I'm actually thinking I put them in the middle of the pack when I started all this stuff, but I digress. I hope you guys are enjoying the videos. Please start leaving some comments, give me some feedback. But as always, don't forget to comment, like, and subscribe. That's it for this one. I'll see you on the next one.